It's just, we're all still being shadow banned a lot. That really hasn't changed.
Yeah, like you know what I find funny, Ridge? You don't
Yeah.
know who I'm talking about this guy Jack Smack, but if you go on his channel, he has 10,000 subscribers, and he literally gets at least 1,000, maybe 2,000 views on all the videos that he uploads. So here's the
Hmm.
funny part, right? So they
Yeah.
won't block his content, but they will block ours. Why is that? Because well, clearly what we're saying is more in line with the truth compared to people like him. That's clearly the reason behind that.
Well, I don't know him particularly, so I'm not going to comment on that. But I will say that it's like this line. If most people are just afraid to cross that line because they don't want to get censored or whatever. It's kind of like a I understand there's some things you just can't say, but it gets to the point where some of these people walking on eggshells are just cowards.
Right, right. Hell, like I'll give you an example, right? I went on a stream the other day. I forget the name of this channel, but I went on and then if the topic, like say for instance, if I asked them about the topic of flat Earth, or I even asked them about certain other conspiracies that don't have to do with what happened in 2020, they'll be like, "Oh, we can't talk about those. What
Right.
we have to skip those." But then literally another day they're on there talking about the same topics with another person. You know, I just
Hmm.
find that to be laughable, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what's even worse is some people don't talk about these subjects anymore because they don't want to be looked at as too crazy. Like they've gotten when Trump won or whatever, and they got into more mainstream politics. They got a new audience, and they don't want to go back to their old conspiracy content because they don't want their new audience to think, oh, they're too out there.
Right, right. I hear what you're saying, man. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking the other day, man. As weird as it sounds, we've actually known each other for about 8 years now. That's weird because I remember back then doing that first video about you, when I was calling you out for being the troll
Yeah.
hacker. Yeah, that was funny. It feels like yesterday, but literally it's 8 years already passed. It's strange.
Yeah, man, and you know what else is so strange is that unless you were like one of the 5 or 6 people that were there to witness it, really there's no way to explain that whole fart troll situation unless you witnessed it, yourself. Like, I don't know, man. It was just a wild experience.
Yeah, yeah. And again, for those that don't know what we're talking about, back in 2016 to like 2018, sometime around there was this dude that will constantly, literally every single day, he would do a video, about us, like literally a nonsense video, not even talking, just putting stupid noises and stuff over it, and leaving comments and nonsense like that. Literally every single day for years and years, this guy would literally do it. And
Yeah.
we didn't really know who it is. We think now that John was behind it, but we think that there was another person involved, because even when John went to school, there would literally be this all day. You know what I'm saying? So clearly
Right. Like
somebody else was involved with it.
yeah, like I told you, whoever that mystery person is, just a complete loser. I mean, on weekdays where most people are in school or at work, the dude's doing that. Like,
Yeah, definitely a damn basement dweller for real, man.
right?
Yeah, I mean, damn, who the hell finds it interesting to literally sit there and do that nonsense for years at a time?
Right.
It's like it really doesn't even make sense. Like I remember one time, like I don't know the whole story behind this, but one of my buddies, Mark, right, he lived next to me. So I remember this one day, I was taking a walk, and I heard him, yelling on the phone with somebody. And apparently, what happened was this hacker somehow got into his computer and was messing around with some of his stuff. So he was on the phone arguing with this character about, he wants his account back, and shit like that. I don't know how the hell the guy got
Yeah.
into it, but that was pretty funny because I am 90% sure it was the same dude that was doing that with our channels back then.
Right. Here's the other thing. And Um, I think that I can actually like distinguish between Rock Eponym's accounts, his troll accounts, and the other guys because there's some little differences with the editing and with some different things.
But you say with who, guys? I didn't hear the first word you said.
Oh, yeah, like you know, we all know that John was behind some of it, but I'm saying
Right.
I think I can tell the difference between his troll accounts and the mystery man's troll accounts because John's would have like the his were like it would usually just be a picture, and a lot of
Right.
it was
Right.
the like what My Little Pony or like I don't know, man. Some of the people getting trolled were like people that aren't even part of our group.
Yeah, yeah.
Little
Like I
pet shop
remember that
environment,
there's literally like three dudes, or there was a girl there too that was getting trolled. That like literally little playing with damn dolls and stuff. I believe one dude was named Sky Blue 15, right?
yeah,
Guy
yeah,
sitting
yeah,
there
that's
playing
him.
with damn little toys and shit. It's really funny.
Yeah, and like the troll account would upload like Ridge Speaks ETT Loving Christian Exposed and it'd just be a picture of that dude
Well, back
for like
then I
30
went by
seconds.
the term age, but
Yeah,
that's a
age and
little
all.
inside joke between us now. Hell, if people watching, if you know, you know. But that's you have to be a
Yeah,
real OG to know what we're talking about there.
yeah, and like I don't even think you were. I think we met like a year after, but my original username was Baby Bell. I named that like after the candy or whatever. I don't know if you
Yeah,
were there
I didn't
then.
know that. That must have been a year before I knew you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, man. Oh, and even what's this guy, the Loving Christian, which now he changed his channel name to the King Lion, but he was around back then with us too. During this whole troll situation. Um,
hmm Yeah,
yeah,
and
but go ahead.
um, yeah, looking back, I don't think he was behind any of it. I think that Troll to frame everybody and make us all infight
Right,
against each other. I think he used an English voice um, robot thing to make it look like it was a loving Christian because the troll was smart and he would like do things to make it look like it was me or you like on one of his troll accounts. Everybody that knows me personally or even you two friends know like my favorite band is Breaking Benjamin, right? And he would make a whole playlist on one of the troll accounts like best of Breaking Benjamin and put their music in the background and guess who was getting blamed for that? Me, right? Because people know that's my
right,
favorite band. So
right. So again, whoever it was, they were definitely skillful in with what they do. Man, did you ever
right.
see that exposed video? That what's that dude? Raspberry Sunshine or something like that. He did about Rock Upon him. You ever saw that one I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I watched all of his stuff, and as I said with him, until I talked to the Loving Christian and he showed me that Izzy Pop, the image that he was using and the image he was saying he was some celebrity friend of Justin Bieber. I believed
Right.
him. Now I have no idea.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Because you see, here's my stance on it. Here's where me and you might have a little different view on it. Because
yeah,
I actually got to talk on the phone with Izzy Pop and his older brother. So I talked literally for a couple hours back then on the phone with each of these individuals at a different time. And
right.
to me, they definitely seem like real people, like people you could actually get along and have a good conversation with on real topics. And it
Yeah,
definitely sounded different to me. I could tell these were different people, right? So again, it's a mystery as to what happened with all of that. I don't think we ever know the true answer
right.
as to the whole situation. But from my perspective, I do believe that they were real people. But again, we can't say 100% certain behind the whole story.
Yeah, and when Izzy Pop supposedly ended himself, I remember his mom, quote unquote, uploaded a video cussing out Rock Upon him, but it was in a robot voice. I thought that was pretty odd.
Right, right. I hear you. I hear you.
I don't know if you remember that. It was like message
I'm
from
not.
Izzy
I'm not
Pop's
sure if
mom.
I. I'm not sure if I've seen that one. Probably
Yeah,
back then I did, but I might not remember.
yeah, and it was like uploaded to the Raspberry Sunshine or whatever. Um,
Right.
and it was a robot claiming to be you know, Izzy Pop and Jake
Yeah,
Rubin's
but
mom.
I'll let you know something though, Ridge, because remember I
Yeah,
know Rockapon in real life. We've met up before a couple of times now. And
yeah,
I'll tell you that the information, some of that information that was in Raspberry's video, I can confirm to be true because, again, I know Rock Upon him outside of
right,
YouTube, right? So some of that information, like say for instance his mother's name, I know that because I used to go to church at the one they went to, right? So I can
right.
confirm that part of the information is actually correct. But then some of the information I can't, confirm that, such as his father. But we won't get into that for the live stream. But I can't confirm that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Jake, whoever he really is, he was a good researcher. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I give them credit on that too. Like I think probably what they did is there's ways that you can pay a couple dollars to get information about certain people. Like there's websites you can pay like a couple bucks to find out people's locations and addresses and names, and stuff like that. All that stuff can
Yeah.
be leaked on the internet.
Hmm.
So I think he probably used something like that to get some of that information.
Yeah, dude, that's wild. It's kind of scary how easy people can find stuff on anybody these days.
Yeah, man, it really is. Like some of these big YouTubers, they call it doxed, right? Where people share out their information or addresses and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Hell, that's why it's smart. Like say for instance, right, you have this dummy running around Samuel Owen. He's literally like, well, tell me your whole name and where you are at, so I know you're not a shill. But then I'm thinking to myself, well, dummy, you do realize that some of us have people out there looking for us that actually want to cause us harm or make
Yeah,
us look bad or any of that. So what type of dumbass would actually give you that information? It's really strange, right? But he can't get it
he's
for
the
some
one
reason.
he's the one that believes he's Jesus, right?
Yeah, that's the guy that believes
Yeah.
he's Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
As stupid as that sounds, again, the guy's literally living in a damn trailer park, living on disability checks on High Holy
Yeah.
Hill, New Jerusalem trailer park, saying he's Jesus Christ. It's like, what type of imbecile could believe such a dummy like that? That's really amazing if you think about it.
Well, what's interesting to me is there's probably worldwide like maybe a million people that say they're Christ. Like
Yeah,
how would you say he's the right one or whatever?
yeah, and again, I point this out. Like, I don't know if you watched some of my videos I put up recently, but I pointed out in a
Yeah,
couple of
I
them. It's
did.
like, wait a second. There's literally people like I was watching a video put up by Brew Binsky over in like the Philippines or something like that. And there was a guy over there that claims to be Jesus. He literally has his own apostles and the group around him, like the city, they believe he's Jesus and can perform miracles. And literally on his social media, he has 1 million followers around the world. So I was thinking to myself, well, wait a second. First of all, both of you guys clearly are not Jesus. But if I had to pick one of you, it's like, why the hell would I pick Samuel instead of this other guy that literally has 1 million followers? Like
Right.
how the hell do we know what one of you guys is the real one then? That's what I want to know.
Exactly.
And you know what else is funny though? Because wait,
Yeah.
if Jesus is here right now, then why the hell is there a war happening in Israel in the Holy Land right now if Christ is walking the earth?
Yeah. Exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah, but a lot of these people just want to believe what they've been taught. That's what a lot of
Right.
these guys just want to believe. They just want to go with the flow and not question the mainstream view. That's basically how a lot of these guys are viewing it at this point.
So is there anybody that actually does believe that he's Christ besides
I
himself?
I mean, I've seen one person go on his channel before, like literally have a conversation on live stream, and they were getting along. So I mean, that dude has a likelihood of believing it. But I've seen other
Right.
individuals who claim that they're Jesus. Like, say, for instance, there was an individual I saw a couple of weeks back who went on with the one of the Israelite camps, and he was basically saying that he is the Holy Spirit, like literally the Holy Spirit from the Bible. That's him in reincarnation. As stupid as that sounds,
Man,
and
you
literally
know, I,
people believed it. Like he had followers that were there in the chat.
yeah, man, I got to give you credit. I don't know how you find all these different people, but I mean, some of the people with some of the most obscure out there like theological views ever you've found and showed on your channel, from the preterist people to um this new guy, the Hebrew Israelite that's rainbow. Um yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man. I don't know how I find some of these dummies. I think sometimes I just coincidentally run into them at certain places, or I just stumble across videos. Like again, it's really strange to me. You know what I find funny, Rich? Like I remember,
Yeah.
I can't speak for you, but I remember, say, 10 years ago, back when I was going to public school or to church, it was not a popular view that they had that the Bible was with like being rainbow or transformer. Everybody back then understood that the Bible was opposed to these things, but now all of a sudden
Right.
they did a 360. Now all of a sudden even the Christians will look at you strange if you openly say that the Bible is opposed to, man and man
Yeah.
relationship, or being a cross dresser. If we say the Bible's opposed to that, they'll pretend like we're being anti-Christ, we're not being a loving Christian by saying the
Hmm.
Bible opposes those things. It's really weird to me.
Well, and I think this kind of goes for everything. Just the conservative fundamentalist Christians have just become cowards over the years, afraid of being called things that end with a phobia or a ist, you know. Um, for example, with the whole abortion thing, right? Conservatives now say that abortion should be a state issue. It shouldn't be nationally banned. It should be a state issue. And
You
it's
know what I
like
saw the other day?
clearly
Not
biblically, it should be banned nationwide. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean the Bible is very clear about abortion. I believe that's Exodus chapter 21 verse 22 on down. It says, if a man hurt a woman with child that her fruit depart from her, then you're supposed to take life for life. So the Bible is clear that if child was killed in the stomach, that's considered to be murder, right? Because God considers that to
Right.
be an actual person. So you know what I find
Hmm.
weird? I seen recently there was a channel that put up a post where they found a church that literally, like, how some churches have like a post outside where they like write certain messages on for the week or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and this one church actually literally said, we support abortion, right? Abortion is the right way to go, or something along those lines. But I was just thinking to myself, it's like, how strange is that we're in a time where even these religious organizations will literally turn completely 360 from what their religious book
Hmm.
teaches just to go along with the belief of the modern day.
Yeah, this whole left wing, really satanic thing has infiltrated everything now. And then they claim it as their own. They'll tell us we don't belong in Christianity if we aren't progressive or whatever.
Right, right. I hear you, man. But
Yeah.
again, it just shows that, the way of the world, is leading all these people astray. It's
Hmm.
just, it's clear to see at this point. I mean, anybody that has, half a brain, they can see clearly what's taking place here, that, the elite of the world are pushing these agendas upon the population. And then these religious groups, they repeat these phrases without question. And then people who are opposed to it, to look at us like we're the bad guy.
Yeah, and a lot of I think a lot of Christians are opposed to it, but they're so scared of being like with abortion, they're scared of being called a misogynist. With calling out the rainbow people, they're scared of being called a homophobe or transphobe or whatever, and they just cower down and um, you know, say, "Oh, well, it's." I personally disagree with it, but I don't believe I want to. You know what I mean?
Right,
Uh,
right.
they'll sugarcoat their beliefs, basically.
Right, right, exactly. And it's really strange because again, I remember growing up in a world where the religious people understood that the Bible had views on these things and those views are to be respected. But yeah,
Hmm.
here it is now in 2024 and a couple years leading up to it. Now all of a sudden, even the religious people will look at you strange if you actually read out of what the Bible says.
Right.
So hell, imagine 10 years from now how bad it will be then if it's already this bad right now.
Yeah, and here's what I find funny. If somebody wants to make the argument that the Bible is pro, you know, um, same-sex marriage or whatever, that doesn't change the fact that there's no way that you can misinterpret that the Bible is against pride. And you have these big pride parades.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, seriously, even if, say, for instance, because some people reject the Old Testament, right? So they'll be like, well, we don't go by the law in the Old Testament anymore. But then they're
Hmm.
still cut, though, by the New Testament. Because if you go to Romans chapter 1 and read the whole chapter, it even mentions how, man and woman are working that which is unseemly and unnatural and is
Yeah.
opposed to what God wants. And, real quick for the audience, thanks to that brother who, the other Israelite brother in the chat, shouting out about 1,000 subs. Thanks for stopping by, man. And I appreciate it. But anyway, you can continue, Ridge.
Yeah, some of these progressive left-wing Christians, they actually made a this like documentary called 1947, I think, or something. And basically, the whole point of the movie was that the word homosexuality wasn't added in the Bible until like 1947 or whatever, and so that means it's not a sin or whatever. But it's like um, the original word for that was sodomite, and that covers that.
Right, right. And you know what else I find funny is sometimes
Yeah.
they forget the term. They forget the fact that words can change their meaning over the course of time. Like I'll give you an example, right? The word gay is
Yeah.
in the Bible. That's in the book of James, chapter 2. It says, if you see a rich man with gay clothing on and you tell him to sit over there and then tell the poor man to sit over there because it doesn't look nice, in the context, the word gay just in the time period, it meant happy, right? Just
Yeah.
the word gay meant happy. But back, in our time today, people believe the word gay means like a sexual thing, but back then in those times it did not have that meaning. So it shows that over the course of time words can change their meaning and people forget that.
Right. And man, here's another thing. In that in this film, this LGBT, like this pro LGBT Christian movie thing. Um, they quoted this one verse, to try to justify where it says like when Christ. I'm paraphrasing, like when Christ comes back, there will be two men in one bed, and one will go and one will stay.
Yeah, you know what? It's ironic you bring that up because I literally read that chapter yesterday. Because you know how I read the Bible, right? Unlike a lot of
Yeah.
people out there, but I'm reading through the book of Luke. I read to chapter 20 yesterday, and I saw that verse there, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, that's that verse that Ridge mentioned to me a little while back about people using it to say, well, see, well, that's gay in the Bible. It's like, well, wait a second, though. If you clearly read the context of what's being talked about here, it's just like a metaphor for saying, one's going to get taken, one will be left. One, in the other context, one will be taken, the other left, right? The two women in the field, one got taken, the one got left. The two men in the bed, one got taken, the other one got left. Again, it's just symbolic. It's not like literal. So that's again, people that are uneducated won't be able to figure that out, surprisingly.
Yeah.
It's really weird. But, the truth is, man, the truth is there's too many people on YouTube that are trying to teach the Bible that have no business trying to teach the Bible. Like say, for instance, and, I don't mean to flex or nothing like that myself, but hey, look, I've been studying the Bible or in the truth since I was 12 years old, right? So it's almost 10 years for me now. So I'm more qualified to teach the scriptures than a lot of these dummies on YouTube that even like Perry Green that just came into the truth like 3 years ago, right? He thinks he's
Hmm.
on there, knows the whole Bible, but yet he admits he literally has been studying the Bible for less than 4 years. It's really funny if you think about it.
Yeah. You know, what was I gonna say? I actually forgot. But Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. Well, a lot of these people, and I don't know if this applies to YouTube, but just in general, people think they know the Bible just because they went to seminary, which is just beyond
Right.
laughable.
Yeah, yeah, it's really funny. It's just it's completely laughable. These people think that they know the Bible just because they might have, went to a couple seminary schools when they were growing up, or something like that. They might have went to Sunday church, a
Yeah,
couple times. It's really strange. I mean, clearly that doesn't mean you know the Bible just because you went to a couple of these lectures or whatever.
yeah, and the thing is, how can another man make you a preacher? Give you a certificate that says you're a. I thought that's a God-given thing.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Like, say, for instance, right, with this guy, Pope Francis, which, by the
Yeah,
way, he recently said that the Catholic Church now accepts, man and man relationship, right? That the Bible
yeah,
back then was against it. But now today, we grew past that, separation now. So now we accept it. And then these hundreds of millions of Christians around the world, a lot of them will just believe it without question because the Pope said it. Like, wait a second.
right,
How the hell do we know that God appointed this man to be Pope? It's like, how the hell do you guys know that?
exactly.
So again, a lot of these people are just, believe in nonsense because, well, they were raised with it. It's not that they did any research into it for themselves. Like these dummies in the comment board down there, a couple of them are like, I'm talking about like the three gracers down there. Like this dummy on here. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. He said, I pray you accept Christ alone. It's like, well, dummy, I've believed on Christ longer than you have, probably. So how the hell are you going to come on here and tell me that you pray I accept Christ if literally I already accept Christ and I'm literally on here teaching people about Christ? So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's like what type of stupid statement is that? Like, literally, that makes no sense to say that.
So, what is a free gracer? What does that term
Oh, well,
mean?
the free grace are basically that means that all you have to do is say you believe on sweet baby Jesus, and then that nothing you do in your life from that point on, like literally this pastor I was talking about yesterday, Jack Smack, he literally said at one of his sermons that you can be a Christian and then leave the faith and be a devil worshiper, and you're going to go to heaven when you die one day, because as long as you accepted Jesus once, then that's it. In a nutshell, that's what free grace is, but there could be a couple other points I might be leaving out.
Well, I feel like I couldn't really explain my point over text. We were talking on there, so I'll go ahead
Oh,
and try to
yeah, yeah.
explain it now. So, here's my thing. I think once you get saved, there's going to be a change. And, the people that are like false converts, that supposedly get saved and they go on raping people and killing people, there's an issue there. And it's not that, you know, Jesus came into them and then just left because they didn't want Jesus. It's that they never were to begin with. And that's that's how I interpret that. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean people can't fall away for some amount of time. You know, um, I think every Christian, like I told you, you look at Peter, he denied Christ multiple times. I mean, that's a really blasphemous thing to do.
Right.
Um, so everybody's gonna fall away, even if they got God in their heart. Um, but if you're really saved, you'll be chastised or whatever, and you'll come back to Him. It's kind of like a son that's mad at his dad for a few days because his dad told him no, and then he comes back to him and lets it go, and there's no issue. It's kind of like that.
Right, right. I hear what you're saying. Our view on it as Hebrew Israelites, our position is, well, first of all, we believe in predestination. Like, say, for instance, Ephesians 1, verse 4 and 5, it says that He already predestinated us from the beginning of the world, who He was going to
Right.
choose, right? So, our view on it is we believe that everybody that's going to believe is already predestinated. We're just living it out in real time right now. Like, say, for instance, a good analogy would be, how you can get a DVD player, you can watch a movie, but then you can watch the movie, or bring it back, or go forward. So it's already set out how it's going to happen. But when you're watching it play out in real time. That's
Yeah.
basically like how we're living right now. It's already predestinated what's going to happen, but we're living it out in real time right now as it all unfolds.
Yeah, and
That's
it
how we
was
view it.
it was John Calvin that popularized that belief.
Yeah, I mean that could be true, but we do see the word predestination used in the Bible. That's, if you want to look in your free time, that's Ephesians chapter 1 verse 4 and verse 5. It talks about that God predestinated his elect from the beginning of the world.
Yeah, I've looked into that, and there's a lot of verses that do indicate that for sure.
Like, say for instance, a whole nother one I'll give you is this is a famous one we always use, Proverbs 16 verse 4. It says, for the Lord created all things for himself, even the wicked, for the day of evil. Right, so God created some people to be unrighteous,
Right.
and that's another thing that Christianity doesn't teach. Christianity will pretend like God loves everybody, but then if I show them, well, wait, in this verse or that verse, God says he hates this guy or that guy. So how the hell could you guys say that God literally loves every single person on earth if I can show you a verse where God says he hates this individual over there? That logically just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So a lot of these churches, man, verse I quoted earlier before you hopped on, it says, they honor me with their lips, but their hearts far from me, but in vain they worship me, teaching the doctrine and the commandments of men.
Hmm.
Real quick, LOP, I see him.